Okay, this next one, another video segment just in case videos crash. If I do this in shorter segments, then I don't have to redo the whole thing or whatever might happen. So in this case, we're going to talk about lifetime value. Sometimes you see it as customer lifetime value. Both of these are kind of that same calculation. So if you search lifetime value or customer lifetime value, you'll find that there are a lot of different ways of measuring this, mostly because it's sometimes hard to figure out this measurement, getting the right data points, figuring out what pieces to include into your costs. So here's just a couple of examples, and we'll even go simpler than this. But in terms of one option, okay, all of these are based on time. So is it their total value in a year? Is it total value in a month? If they make lots of purchases, you got to figure out, again, what time frame you're calculating this in. But you look at your total revenue averaged by customers, okay, minus your average customer acquisition costs, including your retention costs. And that's where it gets kind of hazy, is what gets put into that retention cost. Is it the total operating cost of the business? Is it specific actions and individuals that are responsible for maintaining that account, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, but if you can somehow figure out a little bit of your retention costs, add that to your customer acquisition costs, subtract that from your total revenue, that gives you your kind of customer lifetime value on average. Another way to look at it is their average purchase value times the average number of orders in that time, and then again divided by their average retention costs. Okay. If you don't have the average retention costs, then just do that. Just do their average purchase value times the average number of orders, and that'll give you at least an idea of kind of part of that equation as to what their lifetime value is in terms of revenue, if nothing else. Okay. So if you look at our last example, customer acquisition cost was 10,000, maybe retention's 1,000, but the revenue is 40,000. We would take 40,000, we would subtract 11,000, and that would give us our average revenue per customer of $29,000 a year. This was, we decided, oh, this was their revenue year annually. Okay. Customer acquisition costs, we discovered, we used monthly to figure that out, but that's not necessarily what they're paying. That just helps us figure out time goes away. This is not a factor of time. This is just our average acquisition cost. So if we decide that this is annual now, we can still use this metric and this metric if this is annual to figure out that our total lifetime value of our customers annually is $29,000 a year. Now, what do we do with that information? Well, there's a lot of things that can kind of help understand. If you're spending more to acquire a customer up front, but the total value of that customer over time is greater than what you're spending to acquire and retain them, then you still might be doing okay. And many startups, many businesses, many SaaS companies are all about the network effect, which means they want to get as many users on board as possible, because they know over the lifetime of that customer, they're going to get a ton of money. For example, on Amazon, I've probably spent $100,000 over my time as an Amazon Prime member on Amazon, right? That's probably over 10 years now since Amazon's been around, or whatever it is, okay? So if Amazon knows that, maybe I'm not average, right? Maybe the average customer spends $5,000 a year, that might be high too, but anyway, on Amazon, then they know what they can do, and they're going to stay for 10 years, which means the total lifetime value of a customer is $50,000 at Amazon. Well, then they can spend a lot today to acquire that customer, to steal that customer, to gain that customer. And so that's where lifetime customer value can really come in. But let me give you a real live example. Just recently, I was working with a company, consulting for a company, on this exact kind of concept and why the lifetime value came into the equation. And I tried my best to explain to the owner the importance of this lifetime value assessment in terms of the program we were trying to develop. So let me give you a real life example of the owner did not go with my recommendation, which is fine. I mean, that's how it goes. But you can at least kind of understand where I was using this equation in concept. So in the company I was consulting for, this individual, this company, great product, came out with a product to help women during their monthly cycle The product helps reduce cramps, reduce bloating, reduce pain, reduce cravings, and makes them through their cycle a lot more comfortable as they take this supplement during about a 7-10 day period of time. So we've been in business for about 6 months, month over month growth. This is somewhat similar to a SaaS company because women on every 28 days have their cycle. So it was a subscription that they could buy into, and every month they would get sent the supplement in time for their cycle. So we had about 5 months of data to understand, okay, are they staying with us? Do they like the product? Are they renewing their subscription and things like that? So if we take some numbers here, we notice that our average, let's go with blue. Let's see better. Our average purchase value, because we had kind of different levels of products, which is fine, right? So $37 a month was our average purchase value. And of course, is 1 time a month, meaning they're worth $37 a month to us, okay? But now the question is, how long does that customer stay with us? And how do you figure out maybe, just for example, the annual value of that customer? Sure, you could say, okay, times 12 is somewhere in the 400. Sorry, I didn't do that yet. 37 times 12, 444. Okay, so that customer is paying $444 with us annually if they stay with us for a year. We'd only been in business for 6 months, so how do we know that that's really the total value of our customer? And that's where it's tough. One of the things you can do for however long you've been in business is calculate your churn rate. Okay, churn. The calculation of churn is really simple. It's how many customers gained over how many customers lost in a period of time. Right, that's your churn rate. So if I get 100 new customers and I lose 1, I've got kind of a 1% churn rate. Okay, so a 99% retention rate, meaning I'm only losing 1 customer for every 100 customers I get. So we could go, and that's what I did, is I went and looked, okay, we don't have a full year, but can we at least look and see how many of these customers are unsubscribing in the next 6 months versus how many customers we're gaining, okay, to see kind of what our churn rate is over the lifetime of our customer. So with just the little data that I had, this was pretty easy. I could see who was buying. It turns out our churn rate was pretty low. It was only about a 10% churn rate. Okay? 10%. So we were, about that ratio. For every 10 new customers, we were losing 1 in terms of our churn. So with that, we could take our churn rate and multiply it by our average customer value, lifetime value, at least for a year, and that'll give us an idea of what a customer is. So if we lost, 10% of our customers, we can take this times by 10%, subtract that, you're looking at minus 44.4, which is $399 plus or minus $400. Okay, so now we can use this number, and again, this is somewhat guessing because we don't have exact data, but we can at least say, all right, based on our current rate of churn, losing customers, based on the fact that they're going to stay with us for a year, we can see that our average customer is going to spend about $400 with us. Okay, where did this come in? Well, this individual, came to me and said, hey, we want to do an affiliate program. We want to have our users get paid to recommend it to other people. So without consulting me, she just in a vacuum came out with this number of what she was going to pay affiliates that were interested in selling the product. Okay, well, I'd done all of this math, but I hadn't shown her yet. And she just throws out a number and says, you know what, we're going to pay our affiliates $5. $5 for anybody that they get under, their affiliate link to purchase our product. And I looked at this, I ran the numbers, and I got really frustrated. Well, I got frustrated after talking to her because she didn't take my advice. But, right, I showed her this. I showed that, look, one new customer just that month is $37 to us. Now, I can't share with you our costs, but I'll just tell you right now, the margins are extremely high on this, okay? Very, very high, right? But so let's just assume great margins and not worry too much about that, okay? But if we're gonna get $37 on average for every affiliate that comes in, and that $37 individual in a year is gonna spend $400 with us, the question then begs, what could we actually be giving to our affiliates in order to acquire a new customer? Well, let's just say, margins aside, okay, just for the sake of this argument, but knowing that they're significant, we could spend somewhere closer to this number for every new opportunity than this number. While we might lose money up front, right? In the end, we're going to gain a lot of money because of the new customer. Plus, that new customer could become a new affiliate, and the network effect expands. Okay. So here's the numbers we can use, and here's the numbers I showed her. I said, look, okay, you don't want to be too close to this number because you're losing all of your margins. But if we know that our customers are going to spend $400 with us, why not give the affiliate a lot more incentive to get us a new customer, right? For $5, and it's interesting, this is actually what happened when they built out this affiliate program, put this $5 price tag, most of our affiliates did what most people would do for a few bucks. They did one story or one post on Instagram, and that was it, okay? Because, for the potential of maybe 5 of your friends signing up, that's $25 for you. That's not a lot, that's maybe a date night. Now, but knowing our numbers, we could have upped this number here to, I don't know, 25, maybe 30, maybe even to a point where we lost money with the new acquisition, but knowing overall we're going to gain a lot of money, significant amount of money, right? So we could now up that affiliate program to a number that, hey, okay, now if I get 5 of my friends at $30, that's $150 instead of 25. Okay, for 150, what am I willing to do? Oh, well, now I'm willing to not only post on Instagram, but next family dinner, I'm going to tell my sister and mother and everybody kind of about this program. If it comes up in conversation, I'm definitely going to push it. I'm going to do maybe a few more posts about it. I might talk about the product, and my effort is going to be far greater. And we as an organization maybe lose up front, but in the long term, we're going to do great. Not only is this the value of that single person, but that person who comes on possibly becomes an affiliate, and that just exponentially grows. Right? And I showed her these numbers and just said, okay, I know we're a small business, and I know it may hurt us a little bit up front, but the gain that we're going to get, because we're going to increase the effort of our affiliates, of our salespeople, if you will, is going to be significant. Plus, we have to go back and look at what we're spending in our other channels, right, for new customer acquisition, and we were close to spending our total budget that we were getting anyway, right? So this might be a little bit costly compared to what we're doing, but the gains and opportunity of that referral word of mouth is just so much better, right? The stickiness of that customer and the opportunity is so much greater. Hey, you know what? We can either be a loss or close to our break-even point up front, knowing we're going to get a long-term value and knowing that we're going to get the network effect of new individuals coming on. So that was a real-life example with real numbers other than our costs to talk a little bit about how we could figure out how lifetime value would help us understand what we could spend on a customer for acquisition. Okay, so that's another, I think, good example. So what I have planned for you, I have a few other, but I'm gonna hold off on them. I think this is a pretty good example of what I want. I'm going to post an assignment, and in that assignment, I would like you to go and find a metric in marketing, a marketing metric. Go look on the internet or something you might know already. And I've kind of written out some steps. I'd like you to just basically fill out a page and walk through a little bit of what I did here, but just do it on paper, right? What's the metric? What's the point of the metric? What's the value of the metric? What's the equation of the metric? Show me an example of the metric and talk a little bit about the conversation that you can have about the metric. In the assignment, it lays out kind of a lot about what we just did here that I just showed you. The only important thing here is I want to make sure that you pick a metric different from someone else in your group. So just go back into your Slack channels, let each other know what metric you're doing, so at least I get some variation of metrics, at least within your groups. So it's an individual assignment, but again, like your mini lesson plan, make sure you're doing a different topic than everybody else in your group, so I get some variety of metrics coming through. Explore a little bit. Don't use any of the ones I used, because there's so many out there that you can use. And if you really want to take this assignment to heart, one of the things you should search for is look at metrics that matter to executives or metrics that matter to bosses, right? There's simple metrics such as traffic on a website, and you could possibly do that one. Just don't everybody do that one in your group. But if you want to gain value out of what I'm trying to teach you here, go see if you can find a metric that has significance to the bottom line, to the value, to the business, right? Where you can say, you know what, I think we can find this data. It's not too hard, and we can now have conversations around measuring this part of marketing. Okay, lots of them out there, lots of interesting ones. You know what? There is one more I want to show you because to bring this all together, because this is kind of really interesting. So we've done lifetime value, we've done customer acquisition costs. So one of the things we can do is get a ratio of our lifetime value over our customer acquisition costs. And let me tell you why this is cool. So you have lifetime value compared to customer acquisition costs. Okay, so this is kind of really simple. All you have to do is take your LTV and divide it by customer acquisition costs. It's going to give you a ratio. All right. So if we decided that our lifetime value of the customer, for example, is $3,000, and it costs them $1,000, that's then a 3-to-1 ratio of customer lifetime value to customer acquisition cost. That gives us our kind of our ratio of where we're at. What do you do with this ratio is really interesting. Okay. First of all, it tells us if we're profitable. Okay. Most importantly, right? As long as that a greater than 1 ratio means we are profitable on our customers. So we can go back to that example I just gave you with the product, and we can see that even if it costs us $40 with the affiliate program for $400 of value, right? So I mean, it was 400 total value 40, right? That's a 10-to-1 lifetime value. Okay, in that previous example, if we were just talking about that. But here's what's really interesting is when we look at these numbers, we might immediately say that's better than that. Customer lifetime value, much better than our cost of acquisition. And immediately say, this is so much better, we're doing awesome. Well, studies in business and averages, right? This is averages, right? Everything can be taken different ways. Actually say this, at most businesses' cases, is better than this. Why? If you come to a ratio where your customer lifetime value is significantly more than the cost of acquisition, then you're probably underspending and not getting as many customers as you could be getting. And yes, profitability is important, but it's not the only thing. Market share, growing your market share, expanding your network through more users. So you could actually take this ratio and say, well, this looks great to executives. It is actually pretty poor for business opportunity. Meaning if you have such a high ratio, you could be doing a lot more, and hopefully by doing a lot more, you're acquiring more customers, right? Not just doing more for the sake of doing more. So actually in business, they say a 3-to-1 ratio is a pretty reasonable ratio to consider in terms of lifetime value over customer acquisition costs. And anything greater than that is cause to concern to talk about, are we doing enough to acquire customers? Could we be growing faster if we spent more to get more customers? So just wanted to quickly show you how those two tie together. I think that's really, really important. So, so back to the assignment. Look it over. Let me know if you have any questions. Work with your groups to make sure you're doing different metrics. If you want to really take this to heart, find a metric that you could use in business to report on success and opportunity. That may not be necessary, and more importantly, if you're already working, which many of you are, maybe you can think about a metric you're not currently measuring that you'd like to measure and work through that as well. And maybe you can actually implement that metric and measurement into your business. And of course, right, we talked about the funnel, purchase from awareness. You can measure every stage of this funnel. You can measure them all. And you should be measuring them all. As I talked about in the previous lecture, you can't get the purchases until you get a significant amount of awareness, right? Just based on the law of averages. So this is what, in the end, bosses and executives care about. But your position in the organization may not be tied directly to this. Maybe you're on the content team, maybe you're on the social media team, and you're focusing more on these parts of the funnel. So when I say, tie it to revenue, yes, but if you're focused on these two pieces of the funnel, then tie it to performance in your area. And you can start, if nothing else with metrics, you can start to benchmark where you're at and then see how you're growing, right? And if you're improving and growing with your efforts on any stage of this funnel, you can justify that down to the bottom line, right? Because that's what this funnel requires. Okay? So I'm not just saying you only measure to this, you measure everything where your efforts are being placed, okay? All right, those are my my lectures for this week. Hopefully you're all working well on your teams and your projects. The midterms are due this week, so I'm hoping to see those here shortly. And if you have any problems or needs with your clients, please let me know, and we'll talk to you shortly. Thanks, bye.